Okay, let's go then to our special guest. Joining me now is Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister Sharren Haskel. Joins me from Tel Aviv. Appreciate your joining us, Ms. Haskel. Are we to now be optimistic that we have a ceasefire in place, if not a durable peace? From what Donald Trump is saying, it's a done deal. Do you also believe it's a done deal? Hostages will be released and Israel has agreed to stop the bombings in Gaza.
Well, we sure hope so. When Donald Trump put the peace plan on the table, Israel said yes. The Arab world said yes. Turkey, Qatar, Jordan, even the Palestinian Authority said yes. Unfortunately, the reply of Hamas said that we had to continue some negotiation. In the last 2 years, in the last 2 days, Hamas has agreed to the first stage of that peace plan of Trump, not entirely, but at least the first step. That gives us a lot of hope. We try to contain our excitement because we've been dealing with this terrorist organization before. We've been disappointed before. And so we are very hopeful that in the next few hours after our government cabinets, we'll have a discussion about the in-depth detail that were discussed in the last few days. We will be able to agree on this first stage of the peace process.
Is the entire Israeli cabinet behind the peace plan? Your right-wing allies in this coalition government are reportedly unhappy with it. Is the entire Israeli government behind Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yes, we do back Prime Minister Netanyahu, but it's important also to understand that this is a very difficult time. In return for the hostages, we have to release hundreds of terrorists who were convicted with some of the most horrendous crimes you can ever imagine. Those people, those monsters have blood on their hands who killed innocent children and women and men. And they will need to be released back into society with no restrictions at all, including people who took part of the 7th of October massacre, the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. And this is very difficult for the Israeli society as well. There's an in-depth discussion. The family of those victims who were murdered by those monsters have a very difficult time. And so with that joy and excitement, we also have many difficulty and a lot of sadness that we are dealing with. It's not that simple.
But you have agreed to it. Am I correct that you have agreed to withdraw behind an agreed line, that there will be no further bombings in Gaza? Are we clear about that, at least in this first phase?
So the first phase and the ceasefire have actually gone into place. Now it needs to be signed. The hostages that Hamas abducted from their beds and have been torturing them in the last 2 years needs to be returned. And those terrorist monsters who were convicted with those crimes, unfortunately, will be released also back into society. Then we will start a discussion about the second phase, as Hamas hasn't accepted it, as the Arab world and Israel have already said yes. And so there will be more negotiations and more talks about the second stage of this deal. Hopefully, we'll be able to create peace and stability, because this is what Israel always wanted. This is what Israel wanted from the start.
I'll come back to that in just a moment, but Hamas has just said, Ms. Haskel, that it is seeking international guarantees that Israel will not resume bombing Gaza after the group releases all the remaining hostages. So are you all willing to give a complete guarantee that once the hostages are released, there will be no resumption of the bombings of Gaza, which have killed thousands of innocent civilians?
Look, I think you truly need to understand. Every time Israel had a diplomatic path that will achieve our goals, and the goals are very clear from the start, the return of the hostages and dismantling Hamas. Every time we had a diplomatic path, we chose the diplomatic path, even making huge concessions. We don't want war. We always wanted peace and stability. Unfortunately, Hamas, time after time, have declined it. Hamas is a terrorist organization that doesn't want peace and stability. It's prescribed in its charter the complete annihilation of the state of Israel, killing all the Jews in Israel and out. And that's why the Arab countries, the Palestinian Authority, everybody has agreed that Hamas doesn't have a future role in the Palestinian life or governance or military. It's very much accepted, understanding that this is a terrorist organization that only seeks for death and destruction, not just for Israelis, but for Palestinians as well. As long as we'll be able to, and we are very hopeful and hope that we'll be able to continue into the second stage.